Aloha. Hello, everybody. Mwah. Here's Mojo. It's been a while since I've included Mojo on any of my recordings, so I thought you all might like to see how Mojo's doing. Say hi, everybody. Yes, and if you don't know who Mojo is, this is Mojo. He is kind of the face of my small business, and what a face he has, right? Today we're going to talk about Ayurveda and skincare. And Mojo's going to share all his favorite secrets to having his beautiful, delicious fur, a little bit of skin on his nose, right? Anyway, we'll let Mojo go do his own thing while we talk about Ayurveda and skincare. But before he goes, say bye-bye. Bye-bye. He doesn't seem too excited about that, does he? Anyway, welcome. Aloha, and thanks for being here today. Yes, I am also a yoga teacher and an Ayurveda teacher, as well as a holistic esthetician. Anyway, I really felt like I needed to kind of wrap that all together. I use all these forms, even traditional Chinese medicine. As a master herbalist, I learned traditional Chinese medicine, or the basics of it, to actually be a true traditional Chinese medicine or a full Ayurvedic practitioner. There's a lot of schooling involved in that. But let me be an example of how you can learn some things. You can even learn less than I did and get a lot out of Ayurveda. Or you can be inspired to learn even more. So you can really kind of take Ayurveda as little or as far as you want. Back in the day, Ayurveda was shared at the kitchen table. Granted, there were still doctors, the people, the healers in the tribes or the families and in the neighborhoods, what I'm trying to say, the cities and such, that knew more than just the kitchen table talk. But basic everyday Ayurveda was discussed basically at the kitchen table. It's not like they sat down and said, hey, let's talk about Ayurveda today, but it was just part of their culture, and it was natural for them to just share recipes and remedies and such within the family, with your neighbors, your community. So basically that's what I'm doing is sharing with you all, because this practice of sharing has gotten lost in the mix, and I'm trying to bring it back. A lot of us are trying to bring it back, and we're doing a really good job, because more people these days know more about Ayurveda or of Ayurveda than they ever did. And yeah, all right, let's get on with it. So Ayurveda and your skin. If you've listened to any of my other podcasts, you know I have some other podcasts strictly on Ayurveda. I even start discussing the upper layer of the 3 doshas. So if some of the talk today seems a little bit like it's flying past you, listen to the other episodes, then maybe even come back to this one. However, stop. Stay here. I like to think that I speak in terms that you can get something out of this today without having to listen to those. But again, if puzzle pieces just aren't falling in place for you, then make sure you go back and find some of my other Ayurveda podcasts, listen in, and then things might start coming together. And then if you come back to this one for a second time, if needed, then you'll get even more. I always say twice is always nice. So that's the beauty of podcasting, right? Is that you can always listen to things more than once. You can venture down these paths more than once. All right, I do have a few notes with me today, because speaking verbatim, especially the second I become live, thoughts just seem to escape. So I do have a little bit of an outline here. So I apologize if my eyes aren't always focused on you and moving down. Anyways, Ayurveda's take on skincare. With the 3 doshas, there's the Kapha, Vata, and Pitta, and these are the 3 things that I'm talking about, that if you feel a little bit lost today, I have more podcasts explaining what these are. But there's the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Pitta, or I should say first, each dosha governs different parts of our bodies, or it's kind of responsible for it. Different functions are outlined underneath each one of those doshas. So without getting into it too deeply, When it comes to skin, we're talking about the Pitta dosha. The Pitta dosha is really responsible for our skin, the largest organ of the body. Pitta dosha has other things that it governs, but our skin, the largest organ of our body, is one of the organs that Pitta is responsible for, or governs, I should say. It helps with, it's that outer layer, especially the outer layer of our skin. It's protection. Go a little bit deeper, we got circulation, temperature control. Without our skin, it would be really hard for us to maintain temperature whenever elements are changing around us. And even the external stimuli, so touch. Why does it feel so good to be touched? Because our skin, the largest organ of our body, has a lot going on, like nerve endings and everything in it as well. So not only is our skin the largest organ of the body, but it has a lot going on with it. It's quite the amazing organ, which is one reason why I fell in love with the thought of becoming a holistic esthetician. As a matter of fact, I love the theory and everything that goes on with knowing that the skin is the largest organ in the body, even more so than what I get out of doing facials. However, I do love giving facials. It hasn't been the biggest part of my practice lately. The biggest part of my practice has been trying to share and deliver these messages and bring more awareness to how the largest organ of our body, aka our skin, is very indicative of what's going on inside. Okay? And I have podcast episodes to take all of that deeper as well. But today, so things to focus on with Pitta, the Pitta dosha being the dosha that governs our skin. The thin layer of our skin has many structures in it. I started to mention it a little bit whenever I talked about protection, circulation, temp, and external stimulus, aka touch. But the thin layer has many structures like the capillaries, sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands are often what get infected and create a zit. But we have sebaceous glands all over our bodies. And again, if not taken care of, they can get infected, and that's what we call a zit or pimple. But that zit or pimple doesn't come out of nowhere. It's a sebaceous gland that is not balanced right or inflamed. And hair follicles, obviously, right? We have hair all over our bodies. Most of us do. Some of us more than others. And more, much, much more. Like I was talking about, like to be able to feel, why does it feel good to be touched? The nerve endings. So there's much, much more than that going on as well. But as an esthetician, these are some of the things that we focus on the most, or even, not even as an esthetician, but even as people, we want to look beautiful, we want to look nice, right? So these are sometimes the things that we can see on the surface. So without being educated about skin, we know that these things are facts, right? Hair grows out, we do get zits with the inflammation, and we do know that our skin protects us from the outside in. All right, so once more, that layer, and thinking about the capillaries and sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands, I talked about what happens when they get inflamed, that we end up getting pimples or zits, right? But the sebaceous gland's job is actually, so sebaceous, it means fat, oil. So its job is actually to maintain like moisture, hydration to the skin so that we're not dry, in other words. So that's what the duty of the sebaceous glands. And also the outer layer of our skin, so Pitta would be what also governs our luster, our glow, our healthy glow or not, right? Maybe lack of Pitta makes us pale, and maintain color. So with color, you even have not melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that helps you sleep at night, but melanin. So the melanin in your skin, the color of your skin. So the color comes from that thin layer of skin, the melanin. That's why we can get skin damage or dark spots whenever you have skin damage, that hyperpigmentation, right? Okay, so I've kind of outlined a little bit about skin, and the Pitta dosha is what governs that. That's the dosha that governs it. Once you learn more about the doshas, or maybe you already know about them, we are technically all three doshas. You never want to limit yourself to think that you're just one dosha. Often, whenever somebody says, oh, I'm kapha or I'm vata, it means that their body leans towards a lot of characteristics in that column or that grouping, that dosha. And it is true that many of us can have more characteristics of certain doshas than others. But yet we always think of the body as a whole. We think of all three doshas as a whole, and we treat all three to try and keep us in balance. But knowing what the three are and what they do is what helps us recognize an imbalance. So whenever it comes to skincare, it's always going to be related to your pitta dosha. However, so when your skin is dry, you are showing some signs of some vata characteristics. So vata type people can have dry skin. But again, we're talking about the skin. It's just that a vata type person tends to have dry skin. A kapha type person tends to have more oily skin. They're going to be on the other side of the spectrum than the vata. So kaphas tend to have a little bit heavier, oilier skin. Pitta, when we're really talking about just the three doshas separately, pitta is going to show up a lot with the color, right? You're either glowing or even, what to touch, you feel warm. Have you ever met those people who have cold hands and cold feet? Wow, what is going on there, right? For them to have such cold hand, cold feet. That's circulation, which is pitta and even somewhat part of the skin, right? So on the flip side, pale, lack of pitta is going to make somebody pale. All right, so there we have our little bit of how, yes, there's three doshas, but all three are always, you're always trying to think about all three to balance you out. So vatas, let's break into that a little bit more. If you are vata and you have dry skin, then you're obviously lacking maybe some hydration like water. Water could be a good place to start, as well as oil. We need oil for our body. And sometimes people who take on a fat-free diet, I am glad these days that there's more turnaround in diet and people are starting to be a little less afraid of fat. But we really went through an era there where everybody thought that fat was the most evil thing in the world. And people cut out fat and their skin got dry, even wrinkly. They started to look more swollen, even if they were still a little bit more portly or overweight per se. You started to see wrinkles in their skin because the skin itself was dry, regardless of whether they were still carrying around a little excess weight or it's just their body type to be a bigger body type. You could start to see wrinkles just because their skin was dry. So we do need oil. So if your skin is dry, then you probably have maybe reduced too much oil in your diet, or a vata type person just requires more oil. They can tolerate it even when they eat it and it feels good to them, and it's going to help hydrate their skin and make it fuller. It's going to help balance out that vata to be a little bit more towards the kapha, aka, or even pitta side. Now let's look at the other side of that. Someone who's got more oily skin, or they sweat easily because they just have that hydration coming all out of them. They're clearly not a dry person, right? So being able to add more drying things to their lives. So someone who is more oily tends to, if you are in a humid state where there's even more moisture and heaviness coming down on you, you're going to just feel like your face is just an oil slick, right? So removing yourself from that situation and taking yourself to a drier climate. We're talking about going from Georgia to Arizona, right? Sometimes those people feel much better because they're getting to a drier climate because they're already so heavy and oily, and even water possibly. But also internally, diet-wise, somebody who's kapha, who already has a lot of oily skin, should probably refrain from eating foods that are oilier, like definitely no fried foods. We hear all the time that acne can be created from oily foods, or fried food, right? But then you meet that person who lives on French fries and chicken fingers and they don't have a single zit on their face. And we look at them, How do you not have a single zit on your face and you live on fried food, right? And then you have the person who's got oily skin and breakouts and acne, and they're like, oh, I love fried food, but if I eat it, my skin breaks out more, right? So that's a really good example of each one of us has a little bit more of one of the doshas in us than the other, but whenever it comes down to it, the skin is governed by pitta. Now, pitta people, they're the ones they're your flusher blushers. They're gonna it doesn't take much to get them to turn red, whether it's being embarrassed or they're the one who doesn't want to use a random skin cream, because the minute they put that skin cream on their face, they turn red and flush because they're very reactive. Or the opposite. I've mentioned that maybe they're really pale and swollen because they're lacking so much pitta. Their pitta is so out of balance. So pitta, I should mention at least, pitta is fire and water. Fire and water, think about it. You have to have fire and water in balance in order for, even Mother Nature to exist, right? Too much fire, forest fire, burning all the vegetation because the vegetation is dry. Too much water, you got flooding and mudslides, okay? So fire and water, while they don't mix, we need a balance of both. So if somebody's pitta is where they're super hypersensitive to anything they put on their skin, they get super red. Well, then the fire part of pitta is out of control. Also, breakouts and inflammation can be too much fire. So mixing that, maybe even with a little bit of kapha. So it's kapha, somebody who's a little bit oilier, then you have some high pitta in your body as well. It's going to result in that inflammation on the surface. So acne and breakouts on the skin, even rashes. So maybe it's not a blemish or an infected sebaceous gland, but a rash. Things are trying to get out of your body. There's too much. And then the fire's burning high and it's trying to just get everything out of the skin that it can because it's too hot. You also know that maybe you're too hot because you might have some other signs going on. And I know nobody likes to talk about poop, but poop is one of the best ways to kind of know a little bit what's going on in your body. And as herbalists, we love to talk shit. Okay, so I'm going to talk about poop. So too much fire in the body can come out in the form of a really loose stool, diarrhea-ish kind of symptoms. True diarrhea is often from a flu, but even at that, it's still a virus trying to get out of your body or food poisoning trying to get out of your body. But some people every day can have what's called a loose stool. Now, I don't always classify that as true diarrhea, but when food is going through you too quickly and your stool is loose, that's a sign of too much heat in the body, as well as, like I said, that hypersensitivity, turning red easily, and possibly breakouts. Now, here's the flip side of that, right? Maybe some of you who experience extreme cold, like Colorado, you have the warmth of summer, and then you have the cold of winter. And in the cold of winter, you might notice that sometimes your body's a little bit sluggish. Foods take longer to get through you, even a little bit of constipation. So your skin is going to also possibly show some breakouts through constipation as well, just because you have those toxins in your body. And to be clear, while we're talking about shit and poop, if you are not pooping at least daily, you are constipated. Now, a lot of studies, or as herbalists or any holistic practitioner out there is going to tell you, technically, if you eat 3 meals a day, then you should shit 3 times a day, which would be ideal, but definitely, if you aren't pooping at least once a day, you are constipated. Like I said, there's even some schools of thought out there that if you're not pooping 3 times a day, you're constipated. If you are pooping more than that loose stool where everything's just going through you too fast, then you could be experiencing some diarrhea, like a virus or food poisoning that's trying to get out of your body. Or the pitta, the fire's too high and things are just going through your body. The fire's just trying to get everything out. Again, the acne, loose stool, and redness, sensitivity that you just touch your skin and you turn red. your flusher blushers, where emotionally they can't hold their emotions in. When they get angry, they turn this really bright shade of red. That's pitta. That's a lot of pitta building up in your body. And then the opposite of that could be constipation. So maybe a lot of coldness in your body. And if you're constipated, you're also dry. So not a lot of people who suffer from constipation can also have dry skin, because oil, again, not only does oil hydrate and lubricate our skin, but oil is also going to hydrate and lubricate your intestines, specifically even like the large intestines, the bowels, and it's going to help food move through your body better. So again, if you're following some kind of low-fat diet and you got really dry skin and constipation, you are depriving yourself of too many oils, and you need to start taking on some oils to get things moving. If things are going a little bit too fast and you're reactive, then you might need water to help put out some of that fire, as well as a nice balance of some cooling oils. All right, so now when we get into this, using oils to kind of regulate our skin and give us what we need inside and out. I've been talking a lot about even internally as well as externally. So oils are definitely broken down into the 3 doshas as well. What oil might work for one dosha isn't quite the best for the other. Like I already mentioned, kaphas tend to already be heavier in oil, so they tend to not want to add more heavy oil, but they can use some oils. For instance, kapha. So if you tend to already have oilier skin, or you're heavy and nice and full and hydrated, then you want to stick to more of the lighter oils like grapeseed, rosehip, and flaxseed. Now, you might be thinking, why should a kapha at all use any oil if they've already got plenty? Well, oils deliver some nutrients too. So we constantly need to be giving our body nutrients. In my book that I made, my ebook that I've been selling, which by the way is, you can still get a discount on that with the coupon code. I still have those coupon codes active for another week or two. But I specifically have like a whole section in there that I talk about that. Just because you're using a single oil, like let's just say you're just using rosehip, you might just think that you're using one ingredient, but a single oil or one ingredient doesn't mean that it only has one benefit. No, rosehip oil has lots of benefits to it. It's an amazing oil, and it's going to deliver benefits to your skin that you need, or even internally. If you bought a food grade version of rosehip oil, you can put it on salad. It's amazing, and get it also in your body internally. But it's going to deliver nutrients that your body needs. So that is your kapha. Vata, the people that I said have dry skin, they're going to really enjoy those heavier oils like avocado, sesame, and almond, or nut, some of the nut oils. I unfortunately can't do nut oils. I'm highly allergic to nuts whenever it comes to that. But your nut oils, as well as avocado and sesame, are going to be heavier oils. So if you do lean towards dry skin and constipation, then those heavier oils, your body's going to love it. Give it to it. Pittas, you want to use cooling oils. So there's oils out there that have properties of cooling to calm things down. So we're talking olive oil, coconut oil, and like sunflower oil. Those are more cooling oils. And so a lot of this is listed in my book that I have for sale, my ebook. But even today, talking about it. And if you didn't take notice as to maybe which oil you need, back this podcast up, listen to it again. But oils, so you can use these on your skin, whole body. Imagine buying a whole bottle of organic extra virgin olive oil and being able to put that on your body. Olive oil is full of the omegas that we need, and also antioxidants, vitamin A. Oils have some very amazing benefits. Like I said, just because you're using a single oil on your body doesn't mean it's a single benefit. It actually has multiple benefits to it. So you want to be giving your body these nutrients, this nutrition, and taking care of your skin. So again, if you have more of that inflamed, really sensitive skin, whether it's inflammation from acne, breakout, or hives, rashes, or just super sensitive to touch that you're afraid to borrow your friend's skin cream because it might make you turn red. Then your oils, your best friends are going to be that coconut, olive, and sunflower oil. Someone who has super dry skin, very low vibrance to it, just because you're so cold. Your pitta is lacking so much that you're cold and you're dry. Then you're going to really enjoy the avocado, sesame, and almond. And if you are already oily and nice and plump, oh, bless you, because those people generally don't have to worry about having a lot of wrinkles in their skin. Then you're going to want to lean more towards the grapeseed, rose, hip, and flaxseed. So those are a little bit lighter too, so that they don't clog your sebaceous glands, because your sebaceous glands are already feeling like they're hydrated, but your skin, topically, you need some nutrition. And all of these oils, if you buy the food grade versions of them, you can use them on your skin or even internally to give your body some hydration and moisture from the inside. All right, so even that at a 25-ish minute podcast that I'm at right now is a lot of information to absorb. If you ever want to talk to me one-on-one about things specifically to your body, I'm always available. I even offer a 50-minute chat. I call it, coffee date. Let's get some coffee, let's chat. We will be remote, so you got to make your own coffee in your kitchen or run to Starbucks and then come home and meet with me or make tea, whatever. But anyways, I just felt like it was fun to call it a coffee date, because that's what I would have called it when I was in Colorado and I would meet people in person. So I still keep that trend going. I love to talk to people. So let's get together. From there, if you want to work with me ongoing, we can set up a program for you if you'd like. But the 50 minutes is free, and you can ask me questions. We'll bounce back and forth. Hopefully I can give you even some little tips to get you going for free. As well as my ebook that I have out there, discounts still apply. So if you've listened to any of my other podcasts and you know what that discount is, yes, I'm hiding that discount from you right now. I do believe my commercial tells you what it is, but you got to listen to my podcast to hear the commercial, or go to my Facebook page. My Facebook page, it's plastered all over the Facebook page what the code is. So do some research, give me some feedback, and I'd love to hear from you all. And for now, this is where I'll leave you. I leave you with peace, love, abundance, and namaste.